News 9 Plus. Download now.
Hello, you're watching News 9 Live, and our top story at this hour. Even as the Lok Sabha on Wednesday passed 3 new criminal law bills, Home Minister Amit Shah also informed the House that the government aims to exempt doctors from criminal prosecution in cases of deaths caused due to medical negligence. Amit Shah said that under the present situation, if there is a death due to negligence of a doctor, it is treated as a criminal negligence and is almost akin to murder. He said that the amendment will now free the doctors from this kind of criminal negligence. Cases of criminal negligence are currently addressed under the IPC section 304A. According to this, a person causing death due to a negligent act amounts to culpable homicide and is punishable by either a 2-year imprisonment, a fine, or both. The Indian Medical Association, which is the apex medical body in the country, in the past has made repeated requests to the government to decriminalize death due to negligence.
मान्यवर, अभी जो कानून हम रिपील करने जा रहे हैं, वो कानून में मानववध और किसी महिला के साथ अत्याचार, उसके पहले सरकारी खजाने को लूटने की सजा, रेलवे की पटरी उखाड़ने की सजा और ब्रिटिश ताज के अपमान की सजा को रखा गया था। मानववध तो बेचारा 302 नंबर पर बैठा बैठा अपनी राह देख रहा था। सुरक्षा प्रायोरिटी क्या थी? मानववध नहीं थी। किसी महिला के साथ हुआ दुर्व्यवहार, अत्याचार को न्याय दिलाना नहीं था। प्रायोरिटी खजाने की रक्षा था, रेलवे की रक्षा था और ब्रिटिश ताज की सलामती रखना प्रायोरिटी थी। अब ये पूरा का पूरा बदलकर सबसे पहले महिलाओं और बच्चों के विरुद्ध को अपराध को प्रायोरिटी दी गई है। मानव शरीर पर प्रभाव डालने वाले विषयों को प्रायोरिटी दी है। उसके बाद में देश की सीमाओं की सुरक्षा को प्रायोरिटी दी है। उसके बाद में सेना, नौसेना, वायुसेना के संबंधित अपराधों को लिखा गया है। उसके बाद इलेक्ट्रोल अपराधों को लिखा गया है। उसके बाद सिक्के, करेंसी नोट, बैंक नोट और सरकारी स्टैंप के साथ छेड़खानी को लिया गया है और उसके बाद ब्ला 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 बाकी सारी चीजें आती हैं। तो पहली बार हमारे संविधान का जो स्पिरिट है, वो स्पिरिट के हिसाब से कानून अब मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में बनने जा रहा है। मुझे गौरव है कि तीनों कानूनों को 150 साल के बाद बदलने का और वो बिल को पायलट कर कर इस सदन में लाने का गौरव मुझे प्राप्त हुआ है। मान्यवर, जो कहते थे कि हम नहीं समझते हैं, मैंने कहा कि अगर मन खुला रखोगे और मन भारतीय रखोगे तो समझ में आ जाएगा। मन अगर इटली का है तो कभी समझ में नहीं आएगा। मान्यवर, मन का सवाल होता है उसमें।
And to speak more on the amendment which is proposed to be brought out, and you heard the Home Minister Amit Shah just speak, we are being joined by Dr. Jayesh Lele, Senior Vice President, IMA Headquarters. Dr. Lele, a very warm welcome to you this morning. Big day for IMA, I guess, because we've done, I mean, you and I, and of course the entire nation has done a lot of stories about you as warriors, even as COVID has made, a kind of a quiet, silent comeback into the country. The way some doctors were assaulted, and we've had many discussions about how the doctors were never ever kind of, did not have a safety net. So your first reaction, Dr. Lele?
Yeah, definitely it's the most welcome landmark introduction of this important issue which our Honorable Minister has addressed, and IMA had written to them quite some time back. And I will just recall that if you recollect during the Corona's starting,
right.
In Epidemic Act also was amended looking into consideration. So we always we would thank Honorable Minister as well as our Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister, for introducing this very important issues and addressing to this. And doctors will definitely do the treatment without having any fear in their mind, because this issue was always the fear in their mind while treating the patient. So we look forward to have this very important issue addressed.
All right, but although there is an amendment which is going to be put into place, Dr. Lele, of course it will also have deterrents, which is very important. My second question to you is that does it only cover doctors who come under what we call, in a very expansive fashion, modern medicine? It doesn't take into its ambit doctors who are from other disciplines, Dr. Lele?
See, at this moment of time, they have not mentioned about the details of that. That will come into probably when the amendments take place clearly. And at the same time, see what happens is during the critical situation, most of the time the modern medicine is looking after these critical cares, like, in corona or in the emergency operations, in traumatic surgeries. So at this moment of time, it is definitely the modern medical doctors who will be addressed to, but in later on the government can think about that to expand it or not, and looking into the situation by situation and taking into consideration how the rules and regulations are fitting into this after the new 3 law bills come into force.
Dr. Lele, tell me something. We also in this country, much like other countries, we have a major problem of quacks. People who do not really have, degrees. I mean, I can give you, it, Dr. Lele, there are thousands of people, doctors. What happens if there is clearly a negligence? Don't you think that there has to be some deterrent? Because apart from the major cases of medical negligence, there are also cases like Dr. Lele. If I go to a doctor, he asks me, are you allergic to any medicines? I said, not that I know of. Penicillin? I don't know. He says, okay. And he writes me a prescription. What happens if I go into seizures? What happens?
See, first, your part of the question about the quackery. Basically, unfortunately, in India at the moment of time, no clear-cut quackery, anti-quackery law exists, and that is what all those touts, joli chaps, and so-called they themselves called the doctors are practicing. So we have been requesting all the state government as well as the central government to have this anti-quackery bill or anti-quackery law into existence. At the same time, the second portion, what you mentioned that about the allergies, definitely whenever the allergy is there, we do not know sometimes, as you mentioned about the penicillin, but there is a procedure written how to give the prescription. Suppose you have tested it and the test, there is an test dose given, and then only the full dose is given. So there is naturally a protocol is given, there is a naturally, and you should also have simultaneously some equipment, some measures. Suppose the allergy develops he should know, yes, that he should diagnose that in time that yes, the allergy has taken place, anaphylactic shock has taken place, and how he has responded to give that treatment. So that all things will be important to look after whenever you are treating such kind of a patient, when there is a patient doesn't know about the allergies, and anaphylactic shock is a known entity and the patient should be treated in that fashion. The protocol is written how to treat the anaphylactic shock. So doctors must diagnose it, doctor must take into consideration all the procedures and all the following, giving any particular injection or a procedure that how to treat the anaphylactic shock. So in that case, this will not be treated and this will not be a fault of the doctor's understanding.
Dr. Lele, big day for doctors, of course. Twitter, X, earlier called Twitter, is full of congratulatory messages. And done well, absolutely, you are warriors, and particularly during COVID. There is one more issue that one thinks of. Looking forward, let's not look back now, let's look forward. This country has this habit of everyone is a doctor and all time is tea time. We can have chai anytime and everyone is a doctor. Now, buying medicines, above the counter, like you go to a medical shop, to a chemist, and you say, I have a stomach ache, I have a running nose. He'll say, ye kha lijiye, ye le lijiye, 3 baar garam pani ke saath, etc., etc. And if he will ask you, when he writes the bill, he will say doctor ka naam, I give him some name, let's say Dr. Jayant Lele, for instance, because I've come to you once. What happens in that case when there is an adverse, kind of effect on the patient? Because the patient, don't you think these loopholes should also be tightened, Dr. Lele?
100%. In fact, we have been writing and we have been requesting the food and drug authorities for that matter and the health department also that the chemist loopholes, because we have seen at the chemist level, there are always the chemists, they just see the symptoms. They don't diagnose the disease. They don't treat the patient as a whole. They will just the fever for a medicine, cough for a medicine, pain for a medicine. But then ultimately, why that pain has come? Who will do that? The diagnosis will be rest with the doctor. And the person sitting at the chemist shop, he is not known. He is not even a full-fledged pharmacist. So diagnosing is out of question. And so he should tell that, okay, you have a serious issue. You go to a doctor, bring the prescription. And there is always, we have been requesting to the government that please regularize this prescription, and without prescription, no antibiotic, no scheduled drugs should be given, and no such medicine which can cause harm. Only products which can be dispensed. There is a clear-cut guidelines about the OTC product and non-OTC product.
Yeah.
So if the government tightens this issue, this problem will be solved definitely.
Dr. Jayant Lele, very, very big day for doctors, of course. Many congratulations. And like you said, let's wait and see how it pans out. As for now, thank you indeed, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice of you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Moving on, the Madras High Court has sentenced Tamil Nadu Education Minister Ponmudy to 3 years of simple imprisonment. Ponmudy suffered a major jolt on 19th of December with the Madras High Court, convicting him and his wife P. Visalakshi in one of the multiple disproportionate assets case faced by him. The minister now faces the threat of disqualification from membership of the state's Legislative Assembly with immediate effect unless his conviction is stayed or set aside. His request for an appeal to the Supreme Court will be considered on 21st of December. Ponmudy is likely to approach the Speaker for suspension of sentence so that he can appeal in the Supreme Court. The case dates back to the period when the DMK was in power from 2006 to 2011. Ponmudy and his wife Visalakshi were prosecuted by the AIADMK regime in 2011 for allegedly accumulating assets beyond their income. The investigation in the case was led by Viluppuram District Anti-Corruption Superintendent of Police. More than 100 people were investigated and charge sheets were even filed in the case. It was alleged that Minister Ponmudy and Visalakshi had accumulated more than 1.36 crores in assets. In 2016, a lower court acquitted K. Ponmudy of the case, but the acquittal was set aside and he was finally convicted in the case. The India bloc is staging a protest march from Parliament to Vijay Chowk expressing dissent over the suspension of MPs. Leaders voiced slogans and held banners proclaiming "Save Democracy" during the protest.
आज हम जो
ये प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, ये प्रोटेस्ट सरकार के खिलाफ ये आंदोलन है। सरकार ये नहीं चाहती, मोदी जी ये नहीं चाहते और सदन के मुखिया है वो भी नहीं चाहते कि सदन चले। लेकिन मैं माफ़ी चाहता हूं कि जो चेयरमैन साहब ने एक मुद्दा उठाकर हम सारे संसद को उन्होंने एक तरीके से जातिवाद पर लाया है। अरे हम डेमोक्रेसी में बात करना हमारा हक है। हम चुने हुए सदस्य हैं और लोगों के भावना को पार्लियामेंट में बताना पार्लियामेंट मेंबर्स का कर्तव्य होता है, वो हम कर रहे थे। लेकिन यहाँ पर जो घटना घटी लोकसभा में, वही मुद्दे पर लोकसभा और राज्यसभा में हम ये उठाना चाहते थे कि क्या सिक्योरिटी ब्रीच कैसा हुआ, कौन उसके लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है और क्यों ऐसा हुआ, इसके बारे में आप सदन को बताइए। और सदन तो ये देश का बहुत बड़ा पंचायत है। अगर आप सदन में नहीं बोलेंगे तो कहाँ बोलेंगे?
ये सब इंस्टीट्यूशन और इंस्टीट्यूशन की इज्जत हम हमेशा रखते हैं। सदन में इससे कुछ हुआ नहीं, जो हुआ
TV9 थोड़ा नीचे, TV9
वो देश के इतिहास में आज से पहले कभी हुआ नहीं। 150 एमपी को सदन के बाहर निकलने का हिस्टोरिक काम ये दोनों सदन में हुआ था। खाली एक ही डिमांड थी कि 4-5 दिन पहले कुछ लोग सदन में आए कि जो सदन के सदस्य नहीं थे तो कैसे आए, किसका खास उनको मिला। इस पर सरकार की तरफ से कुछ बयान, कोई स्टेटमेंट इसकी आवश्यकता थी और सदन का वो अधिकार था। उस स्टेटमेंट हमने मांगा, वो देने की तैयारी नहीं थी। कि स्टेटमेंट के लिए इंसिस्ट किया तो कीमत यही मिली कि सदन के लोगों को जो स्टेटमेंट मांगते थे, जो मंत्री ने सदन में आकर बात करने की आवश्यकता कहते थे, इन सभी लोगों को निकाल दिया, इनके खिलाफ सख्ती का कदम उठाया।
And it's time for a break in this bulletin, but I'm going to be right back, so don't go away.
वर्ष 2070 तक भारत नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करेगा।
There is certainly a wall of capital coming into the clean tech, climate tech space, not just in India but across the world.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. An engineer from Karnataka was detained by the Delhi police from his home in Bagalkot last night in connection with the Parliament security breach on the 13th of December. He is the son of a retired police officer. The techie is being brought to the national capital. Sai Krishna Jagali is said to be a friend of Manoranjan D, one of the two intruders who trespassed into the Lok Sabha chambers last week. Manoranjan is among 4 accused in the case who now faces charges under anti-terror law. Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Sai Krishna and Manoranjan were reportedly batchmates at a Bengaluru Engineering College. The intruder in the parliament reportedly named Sai Krishna during questioning. A total of 6 people have been arrested so far in connection with the security breach in parliament last Wednesday. And now news about COVID. As many as 21 cases of COVID-19 subvariant JN.1 have been detected across the country until now, but the government asserted that there is no need to panic over the issue. According to official sources, 19 cases of COVID-19 subvariant JN.1 have been traced in Goa and 1 each in Kerala and Maharashtra. Over the past 2 weeks, 16 deaths related to COVID-19 were recorded, with the victims having serious comorbidities. The centre has asked states and union territories to maintain a constant vigil. A rise in daily positivity rate has also been observed in a few states like Kerala, Maharashtra, Jharkhand as well as Karnataka. Overall, India recorded 614 new coronavirus infections in a day, the highest since May 21st, while the active cases have now increased to 2,311, according to the Union Health Ministry data, which was updated on Wednesday. The World Health Organization has classified JN.1 as a separate variant of interest, given its rapidly increasing spread, but said that it poses a low global public health risk. Officials said that no clustering of cases due to the JN.1 variant has been observed in India. All the cases were found to be mild and the patients recovered without any complications whatsoever. Following the rise in COVID cases owing to the emergence of JN.1 subvariant, the Karnataka government has decided to ramp up testing and is now aiming to test at least 5,000 people a day by Saturday. Until now, on an average, 2,600 people are being tested every week. The health department has also directed the district health officials to ensure all the severe acute respiratory illness cases and at least 1 in 20 influenza-like illness are tested for COVID.
We had a discussion with the Union Health Minister and all other ministers, and basically they have asked us to continue our preparation, keep vigil, increase our testing, and ensure that all oxygen and beds and ventilators and all that is all in place. And any major outbreak, the government should be prepared to handle it. But they are saying this variant has been, the JN.1 variant, has been around for almost a few months now across the world, and there's no need to panic. It's a subvariant of the Omicron. So just keep testing more. Karnataka is now the highest in India in number of tests in the last 24 hours. So we have a target of increasing it to 5,000 by Saturday. So do test more, find out more, and then later on we can see what else to do. It's no guidelines, no restrictions on movement, no restrictions on gatherings, all that. But we advise precautions for people. Our advisory is to take precautions for people when they are in crowded places. Better to wear a mask. And that advisory we have already given.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is set to bypass the second summons issued by the Enforcement Directorate in the Delhi excise policy case. Kejriwal, who was summoned to appear before the ED on 21st of December, has called the summon illegal and politically motivated. This marks the second summons in the excise policy case, with Kejriwal previously terming the first summons as unsustainable in law and motivated. In a letter to the ED, the CM referred to the previous summons as a fishing and roving exercise.
अरविंद केजरीवाल को आज ईडी के सामने पेश होना था, लेकिन जो सुनने में आया है कि वो विपाशना के लिए दिल्ली से बाहर 10 दिन के लिए चले गए। हमें लगता है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल के लिए कानून से ऊपर विपासना है, कानून का सम्मान नहीं है। ये दिखाता है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल के मन में कानून के लिए इज्जत और मान नहीं है। आपको ईडी ने बुलाया था, चंद सवालों के जवाब देने के लिए बुलाया था, लेकिन आपने पिछली बार आपने बहाना मारा था कि मध्य प्रदेश और छत्तीसगढ़ और राजस्थान के चुनाव है, इसलिए आप उसमें व्यस्त हैं। इस बार आप विपासना में चले गए 10 दिन के लिए। कल को कानून आपके ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई करेगा तो आप चिल्लाएंगे, देखिए कानून मेरे ऊपर कार्रवाई कर रहा है, अपने आपको बेचारा दिखाने की कोशिश करेंगे। कानून को आप इज्जत ना करें और कानून कल को आपको सख्त एक्शन ले तो आप फिर चिल्लाइएगा मत, आप फिर अपने आप को बेचारा मत दिखाइएगा, अपने आप को ये मत कहिएगा कि देखिए मेरे ऊपर नरेंद्र मोदी ने या ईडी ने मेरे ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई करी है। इसलिए मेरी सजेशन है अरविंद केजरीवाल साहब, कानून का सम्मान करिए।
Ayodhya is all set for the Pran Pratishtha ceremony on 22nd of January 2024. The city is being embellished with lights and preparations are in full swing to decorate and illuminate Ayodhya for the upcoming ceremony. For the grand opening of the Ram temple, Vadodara will dispatch 108 feet long incense sticks crafted from Panchagavya, Havan materials and cow dung. These massive incense sticks weigh 3,500 kilograms and cost over 5 lakhs. This process took 6 months for completion and they will be transported in a 110 feet long chariot. Before the enthronement of Ram Lalla on 22nd of January, a garland of pearls in the name of Ram is being made. People from all over the country have sent pearls and Ram's name is written on every pearl. Arrangements are being made for all the basic facilities like teen city, hospital, restaurants, etc. to accommodate 15,000 sadhus. Amid global unrest, a symbol of communal harmony emerges. Lord Rama's statues for the upcoming Ayodhya inauguration are being crafted by a Muslim sculptor, Major Jamaluddin. Meanwhile, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, is set to visit Ayodhya preceding Prime Minister Modi's visit. The visit will commence with Ram Lalla worship at Hanuman Gadi and Sri Ram Janmabhoomi complex, followed by on-site inspections and a review of development works and law and order at the Circuit House. Time for a break, but I'm coming right back, so see you on the other side.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9+. Download now.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bangalore city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bangalore should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Since the last 2 years, Khalistani terror groups are threatening Indian diplomats in Canada, US, UK and Australia. Investigations of these threats led us to the first ever abduction and killing of an Indian diplomat, Ravindra Matre, in UK's Birmingham in 1984. Our months-long investigation finally led us to the murderer of Ravindra Matre, who has been hiding in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir for the last 40 years. Watch our exclusive documentary, Murder of an Indian Diplomat, where we reveal the man who killed Ravindra Matre.
Stop searching, start streaming. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी 9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
Welcome back to this bulletin on News 9 Live. Heavy rains have wreaked havoc in Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi and other southern districts of Tamil Nadu. Extensive rescue operations are underway in all these districts. Helicopters for rescue and relief operations in the affected areas. The Indian Army is also engaged in rescue works. Over 100 people were brought to safety from the flood-affected areas of Thoothukud's Vasavapuram. Teams of National Disaster Response Force are also engaged in rescue and relief operations in Thoothukudi. And in some international news, US State Secretary Antony Blinken announced a strengthened partnership with India and heightened cooperation within the Quad involving India, Japan and Australia. Blinken emphasized the deepening ties during an end-of-the-year press availability, underlining the robust relationships in the Indo-Pacific. According to a US State Department press release, Blinken affirmed that partnerships in the Indo-Pacific have reached unprecedented strengths.
We've deepened our partnership with India. We've elevated cooperation through the Quad with India, Japan, Australia. The United States is more closely aligned than ever with the G7, with the EU, with other allies and partners on the challenges presented by Beijing. And we're working together to address them. We're deepening cooperation and coordination between NATO and our Indo-Pacific allies.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
It's been 76 days since Hamas's first attack on Israel. And today, more than 20,000 Gazans have lost their lives in the war between Israel and Hamas. Let's get you all the latest updates from the war zone on your screens right now. At least 12 killed in explosions near Rafah Hospital, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Uncovered Hamas's command center in Gaza City, according to the IDF. Fighting terrorism did not mean Israel had to flatten Gaza, says Macron. At least 20,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Gaza war so far. UNSC yet again delays vote on Gaza resolution. An indelible stain on our collective conscience, says UN humanitarian chief Martin Griffiths on the Gaza war. 165 humanitarian aid trucks crossed into Gaza on Tuesday, according to Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a warning to Hamas on Wednesday, reiterating his vow to eradicate the group. Netanyahu told the group's members, "Surrender or die," in televised comments that suggested any possible new truce under consideration would be short-lived. Netanyahu reiterated that the war would only end when Hamas is eradicated. All hostages are freed and Gaza no longer poses a threat.
אנחנו ממשיכים במלחמה עד הסוף. היא תימשך עד לחיסול החמאס, עד לניצחון. מי שחושב שנעצור, פשוט לא מחובר למציאות. לא נפסיק את הלחימה עד להשגת כל המטרות שהצבנו. חיסול החמאס, שחרור חטופינו והסרת האיום מעזה. אנחנו תוקפים את החמאס באש תופת, בכל מקום, כולל היום. אנחנו גם תוקפים את עוזריהם מקרוב ומרחוק. כל מחבלי החמאס, מהראשון עד האחרון, הם בני מוות. יש להם רק שתי אפשרויות, להיכנע או למות.
Friends and families of hostages in captivity of Hamas are continuously campaigning for the safe return of their family members. One woman in Jerusalem who's campaigning for the release of her son has been getting support from an unexpected quarter. Watch this report to know more.
Rachel Goldberg keeps score of the days her son Hirsch has been held hostage in Gaza. More days have passed since we met, but the family still hasn't heard anything.
A lot of people feel comfort wearing t-shirts with their loved one or a pin with their loved one. That for me makes me really uncomfortable. I also don't like that the picture doesn't change. I think there's something important that every day the number changes and it's showing, it's uncomfortable.
Hirsch was caught up in the attack on the Nova Music Festival on October 7. Militants led by Hamas, considered a terrorist group by multiple countries, killed at least 360 people and took others to Gaza. Hirsch's best friend Arne, on the left here, was one of those killed. Hirsch, on the right, was badly injured and taken.
I pray all the time that I know there are kind, good Gazan civilians who are also caught in this horrible situation that we're caught in, and I want to pray and hope that there's someone kind there being kind to Hirsch and to the other, innocent people who are also being held there in a terrible situation.
Hirsch's family takes some comfort from the support of his friends. They used to hang out here in this bar in Jerusalem. all are avid supporters of football club Hapoel Jerusalem. They've made sure he cannot be forgotten.
We are doing bad. It's really, nothing is the same, and even we try and we succeed in a lot of moments of our day to keep living. You know, we meet here, we drink our beers, we watch our football team, and we try to do what we were doing before, but that's not the situation, and every time you have a moment to realize, you remember that Hirsch is a hostage in Gaza.
They also mourn their friend Arne, killed that day. It was a day that changed their world.
It's the biggest incident we've had for our generation, for sure. But I think it's kind of a part of being here. Is there's always something happening, and there's always. But I think this is the first time it really hit me personally with Hirsch, and maybe also our community.
Hirsch's fate is also present at this German football club. He was a frequent visitor here in Bremen, thanks to strong links between supporters of his football club and those of Werder Bremen.
I know him as a very charismatic person. He's very outgoing, very open, unbelievably tolerant. He tries to bring people together.
Wir sind so weit weg. Was
We're
können
so
wir
far
denn
away.
tun?
What
von
can we
hier
do from
aus,
here to somehow keep
dieses
this topic
Thema
and our friend
unseren
close to
Freund
us?
irgendwie bei
That's
uns
what we try to
nahe zu
do with our
halten.
conversations and messages
Genau,
with
das
Rachel.
haben wir in diesen Gesprächen bzw. Nachrichten mit Rachel
To
versucht,
find a way to offer
dann so ein
support
bisschen herauszufinden,
from
wie
so
können
far
wir von
away
hier
to
so
where we
weit
feel
weg
so connected in our
unterstützen,
hearts.
wo wir uns doch eigentlich im Herzen so verbunden fühlen.
Fans there flying the flag for Hirsch gives comfort to his mother in Jerusalem.
I call them my friends, they're Hirsch's friends, but who write and keep me posted and send pictures of different rallies and different soccer games and different exhibitions that are put out, not to forget these human beings who are being held against their will in very scary conditions and situations, and it actually really helps me. I think it helps me to breathe in this world without air.
For now, she counts the days, and she waits.
The highest court in Colorado has just ruled that former President Donald Trump will not be eligible to run for U.S. president in the state's primary elections. This decision, stemming from his involvement in the 2021 Capitol attack, is expected to face a challenge at the U.S. Supreme Court soon.
Donald Trump has been disqualified from serving as U.S. president and kicked out of the presidential primary election in Colorado next year. The state's highest court made the historic decision on Tuesday over the former president's role in instigating violence against the government in the Capitol attack by his supporters on January 6, 2021. The 4-3 ruling by the Colorado Supreme Court was based on a rarely used provision of the U.S. Constitution. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment bars officials who have engaged in insurrection from holding office. Trump is now the first presidential candidate in history to be disqualified from the White House under that rule. The majority justices acknowledged the judgment was uncharted territory, but said, quote, "We do not reach these conclusions lightly." Trump's campaign said they will appeal the ruling at the U.S. Supreme Court, calling it flawed and undemocratic, while Trump accused the Democrats of election interference at a campaign rally in Iowa.
Crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election.
The case was not brought forward by Biden, but a group of Colorado voters, backed by a nonprofit called Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. In a statement, the nonprofit said the court's decision is, quote, "not only historic and justified, but is necessary to protect the future of democracy in our country." The lawsuit is seen as a test case for a wider effort to strike Trump off state ballots under the 14th Amendment. Tuesday's ruling overturns a lower court's judgment in Colorado that concluded Trump did engage in insurrection, but that, as president, Trump was not an officer of the United States who could be disqualified under the provision. It now sets the stage for the U.S. Supreme Court to potentially consider whether he's eligible across all 50 states to serve as president again. Half of the judges that make up the top court's conservative majority are Trump appointees.
Moving on, Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, currently in jail, is all set to contest the upcoming general elections from at least 3 constituencies as announced by his party. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party revealed that Khan is aiming to contest from Lahore, Islamabad and Miawali constituencies. Despite a previous conviction and disqualification, the Islamabad High Court suspended his sentence and he awaits a verdict on his petition challenging the Toshakhana corruption case. The party has instructed workers to file nomination papers emphasizing the importance of free and fair elections while expressing concerns about undemocratic practices in the nomination process. The party aims for the elections to take place on 8th of February. That's all we have in this bulletin. For all the news and analysis, this is your destination, News 9 Live. Thank you for watching.
उन्होंने मुझे बताया था कि आप चिंता मत करो, मैं आपको भरोसा दिलाता हूँ। फिर ये मेरा परिवार सब खत्म हो गया।